Vakiti and I will eat your soul.
And this is Jack32X.
And we are now playing the sequel to Mario Kart Arcade GP. This apparently being the first Let's Play of any of them on YouTube. Hooray for that.
Yay!
So now we're playing the glorified sequel of, or glorified remake of Mario Kart Arcade GP, Mario Kart Arcade GP 2. But to be fair, it is a fairly decent sequel because it fixes a lot of bugs that people complained about in Arcade GP 1. It adds quite a few new courses and a bunch of new characters, not limited to, but including Mamechi! And
there is an arcade machine of this at my bowling alley, I just realised.
You
I was
are
staring at the intro.
You are so lucky to even have that.
Yeah.
I went to an arcade when I went to see the Avengers because there was an arcade in the theater. And they were all up to date. So like you gotta imagine this is like a 2005 game. So they don't have this in arcades that generally keep themselves up to date because the Sega Triforce was deprecated years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that arcade in particular is pretty cool because it's got like Time Crisis 4 and stuff like that. I mean, I'm a big Time Crisis fan. Time Crisis 2 is still my favourite, but yeah, it's just interesting to see that Mario Kart machine there because especially in this country, you don't see many interesting arcade machines. It's usually just the same stuff again and again.
That being said, I'm just going to go with 100cc right now because 50cc is too slow, 150 is too fast, and with these controls, no thank you. Let's start off with Pac-Man. Because Pac-Man is awesome.
He's not even in the franchise.
Exactly. Another thing added to this game is not only do you get the original regular go-karts, but you also get customized, interesting karts like were first introduced in Mario Kart Double Dash, and later brought to Mario Kart DS and 7. Each character has their own customized vehicle. My favorite has to be Mamechi, because he's driving a fucking Tamagotchi. And that is awesome.
What if it needs food? Does it just like stop working and fall over?
I don't know, but in this level we have the basin, the square tire, and some other power-up that I forgot to read. Yeah. And yes, the loading times are quite obnoxious in this game, at least on the Wii.
Here we are live from Oshi Park, Course 1. This special course passes players through the attractions of Oshi Park. This broadcast is brought to you by Justin Berti.
And the announcer is obnoxiously annoying too. But you'll see that in a moment.
If you heard that scream, my mate Jay's playing Team Fortress 2 and he just got shot.
Oh boy.
Yes. Sorry man, I don't mean to interrupt you. Carry on.
But this is one of the new courses. You get thrown into a new one right off the bat. This is Oshi Park, and it's basically based on Yoshi's Island, but in the second one, it's sort of based on Luigi's Mansion at the same time.
It's incredibly trippy looking, I must admit.
Indeed. Well, anything based off of Yoshi's Island has to be pretty trippy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that announcer. Oh god. He is
that's always got me because, of course, I've played the other Mario Kart games. And it's just weird when I saw that for the first time on the arcade machine. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, this game, it's very different from any Mario Kart that you'll have ever played because, well, for one, the mechanics are very different. It has Pac-Man, it has shit like that. The items are ranged, so you can't just home in on someone by throwing it out anywhere in the track. You have to be near them. And it was developed by Namco. Nintendo had no part in it.
Interesting. That's probably why Pac-Man is all over it.
Well, that and because it was basically symbolic of the, even though there are no Sega characters in it, it was symbolic of the joining of the three companies on the Sega Triforce system, because the system was developed based on the GameCube hardware with special editions by Nintendo, Namco, and Sega.
Now on to the final Pac-Man.
So I guess they just figured make a Mario Kart game on it, but to this day I think it would be better if it had Sega characters in it. I don't know why it didn't.
Yeah, that does seem a bit odd.
Pac-Man.
Think about it.
Dominating the top
Mario, Pac-Man, and Sonic in the same game.
Yeah, so it would be a bit of a fangasm right there.
Indeed. Oh, and I just saw Baby Mario and Baby
Pac-Man,
Luigi.
what
I
a
never
strong
noticed that
driver.
before.
Everyone is trailing behind.
One thing I was considering doing after playing through GP1 was hacking into the ISO and trying to make Robo Mario playable. Spoiler alert. For any of you who haven't played all the way through Arcade GP1, because there's apparently no documentation of this anywhere on the internet. Yeah, Robo Mario is a thing. And I won. So yeah. If you look really closely, you can see Bowser Jr. down there in the blurred crowd, along with Birdo. Well, actually, there are a few characters down there, but Bowser Jr. was the one that stuck out the most to me because he's sitting there. He's sitting there with Toads, Princess Daisy, and Birdo, kind of out of place.
Casually just sat there like, yeah, these are my friends now.
Anyway,
Totally not enemies at all.
moving along to Yoshi Park 2, which is based on both Yoshi's Island and Luigi's Mansion. And here we have the big and small tire, the boo, and the interrupting frame. None of these power-ups return in any Mario game except for the Mega Mushroom, I believe. Well, that and the green shell, but that's kind of obvious. And the banana. Okay, most of the power-ups don't return anywhere. Hell, some of the power-ups aren't even from this universe.
Long straights give rise to high-speed item battles. And now, we begin the race.
Another thing about it, too,
Pac-Man, rocket start.
there's a certain point during the timer in all Mario Kart games where you press down the accelerate button to get a quick start.
Pac-Man,
Normally,
miss the item
it's
bar.
when
This
the
may
timer
hurt.
hits 2. In this game, it's when it hits 1. It kind of threw me off guard the first couple of times I played it.
Alright.
There are also some power-ups in this game, as I explained in the first game, like the boo right there. In other Mario Kart games, they take your items away. There are a lot of power-ups in this game that, while appearing the same as they do in other games, have nowhere near the same function. Like the boo. There are also a lot less power-ups that stop you dead and more power-ups that just slow you down.
I suppose that's to add to the arcade feel of it, to make it more difficult for people wanting to progress with the game.
I guess so.
It was designed to make money after all.
And I think power-ups like this one, which I have no idea what it is, but there are certain power-ups that affect the feedback of an arcade machine's wheel. Like normally, say, if you're driving erratically, the wheel will lock up, sort of. This won't apply here, so those power-ups generally don't work right. Because I'm using an analog stick.
It wasn't thinking of that at the time.
Yeah. Like, there's one power-up in the first game, I don't know if it returns here, that's one of the viruses from Dr. Mario that steals your wheel. I'm assuming that on the arcade system, I'd have to get confirmation of this from Mario Wiki, that this completely locks up the steering wheel, but it does absolutely nothing in the GameCube controller.
Oh dear.
To be fair, though, it does absolutely nothing for the NPCs either, so I'm not at a disadvantage. They aren't at a disadvantage. Blah, tongue-tied.
That's true. That is true.
Because if there's one thing Arcade GP1 had, it was a lot of handicaps on the player's part.
Yeah, I've seen that in classic party games as well. Good example of that would probably be Crash Bash for the PS1. When it got to later levels, it really felt like the AI were out there for your blood. They wanted you to die. They wanted you to burn in hell.
It's not so much the AI being dreadful as it is the randomizer for the power-ups not applying, or rather the confinement of the power-ups to the 3 that were shown in the intro screen not applying to the NPCs. Like again, when you're limited to having 3 shells and they can throw a tornado that stops you dead, that is a handicap. That is very bad. Thankfully, the blue shell doesn't make any appearance in this game. But here we have the broken wheel, the interrupting frame, and the mask.
Oh god, the blue shell. Okay. You know, that's just the bane of anyone's life, really.
Well, it only really got annoying in Mario Kart Wii because the randomizer was too generous.
Here we are live.
Yeah.
Yoshi Park.
It tended to give more broken items to characters not far enough
The
behind.
most talented driver is Pac-Man. What
Blue shells for everyone.
Mario Kart 7 is the one I really like. It takes cues from Double Dash and Arcade GP, like the customized vehicles and the customized vehicles, underwater driving, and the coins on the road, which originated in this game, I believe, except for the customized vehicles. But it takes a lot of cues from Wii and fixes the brokenness.
Yeah. That's the 3DS one, am I correct?
Yeah.
Right.
But see right there, I missed Luigi. And this is another new power-up. I just realized that the randomizer still isn't applying to the NPCs then. Okay, never mind. Well, anyways, that was the bunny item, and basically it's the bunny carrot from, the rabbit carrot from Super Mario Land 2.
I can't believe the moves this card has made.
It slows you down, but when you're going downhill, it actually speeds you up.
Pac-Man, come through with speed.
It looks really weird on a Pac-Man, I must say.
Indeed.
Pac-Man takes a shot. Toad, the steering wheel is shot. Pac-Man, this way blocks your view.
I'll admit
Toads everywhere.
this item is less useful than the blooper, but the blooper can be really useless at times in some games.
Is now in third place. Pac-Man shoots.
It's a lot more useful in 7 just because the 3D effect makes it less easy to see past it.
Pac-Man picks up points in one stretch. Pac-Man picks up points in one stretch.
I don't know why this one has a kissy face on it.
It's a slut power.
Now on to the final.
Dude, that's another function. All these great functions in this game, I wish they would release this, but yeah, you're holding onto the power-up instead of just dragging it behind the car.
Yeah, I do like that feature. It does look pretty cool. Looks more realistic.
Yeah. That was the main thing that caught my eye when I first saw footage of this game.
Pac-Man. Rivals are left completely in the dust.
But yeah, apparently the randomizer still isn't affecting the enemies. I'm really gonna get pissed off at this when it comes down to Rainbow Cup.
Really fast.
Oh god. Oh god.
If they pull that shit where they give you just 3 shells again, I'm going to be pissed.
The winner is Pac-Man.
I see you're in first place. Here's all these shells.
Well, it's not hard to get in first in this, at least in Arcade GP1. I never lost one until I got to the Bowser Cup. And that's another thing about this game. Since it's an arcade game, when you lose, you don't progress any further. It's an immediate game over. So you have to redo the race and come in first place to continue.
And insert more monies.
Needless
But
to
we
say,
have infinite monies.
yeah, 95 credits, even though that resets every time. Anyway, we have the interrupting frame, the bunny ear, and the mask. But yeah, needless to say, I was pretty pissed when it came down to losing. When it came down to Rainbow Coaster, I lost every race once, and I had to do it again.
Yeah.
But I won the second time just because I was more,
Here we are live.
I was more
Yoshi
active
Park
with my
Course 2.
drifting to get
This
around
open course
corners.
lets drivers battle freely.
Fair enough.
The most talented driver is Pac-Man.
There was another race too that
Thrilling
involved
technique will
using
be safe.
thunder sticks, which is basically Basically, it's the hammer from Smash Bros.
Pac-Man.
And you have to make physical contact with the vehicles. The problem is that was the only power-up that anyone has ever given in the level.
Ow. 3 drivers
And-
are battling deadlock.
If you hit, it's on with the NPCs. It comes right down to proximity detection. If you come within their range, they will hit you no matter what you do. So you can imagine if you get hit once and then somebody comes close to passing you, they will hit you, and then the guy after them will hit you, and before no more than maybe 5 seconds, you will be in last place.
Makes a perfect pass.
Needless to say, that was annoying as hell, and
Yeah.
you pretty much have to stay in first no matter what, or you will lose.
Pac-Man shot an item. Donkey Kong hit with
All of us talk about all these Nintendo games and Smash Brothers wants to make me emulate them. I really should emulate Melee sometime.
You must have a really good computer.
Really geek, a funny mask.
GameCube isn't really that hard to do.
I can't do it. I can't even emulate the Dreamcast.
Both drivers
That's why I bought the WOD Jukebox mod chip for my Wii, even though that's made completely useless by DML now. Basically, it's a mod chip that places itself between the disk drive and the motherboard, and even on an software modified Wii, it tricks the system into thinking that an ISO is a disk.
Ah, right, okay. Sort of like the PS2 tissue trick.
Pretty much. Up until DML was released, which is basically just an SD loader for GameCube games. It was the only way to load GameCube games off of anything other than a burned DVD, and my Wii is incapable of reading DVDs.
Alright.
That's made completely moot by the point that every Wii made after Christmas 2011 no longer supports GameCube. Thankfully, I don't.
That's interesting, Nintendo turning back on their cross-platform, but then again, the later DS revisions got rid of the Game Boy Advance ports, so...
Thankfully, I bought my Wii long before that point, and even if I didn't, I would have been certain to buy one that had backwards compatibility. The only reason I didn't buy a backwards compatible PS3 was because by that point I already had a PS2, and it was kind of pointless.
Yeah. Also, those backward compatible PS3s are rather rare and rather inconsistent as well. Not all the games were compatible by any stretch of the imagination. Simply because the software library of the PS2 was so large. I mean, it's still in production now. It's still going. It hasn't finished.
And yet, PS2 games are still emulatable on the PS3 because PS2 classics are being made available now.
Yeah, exactly.
I have an old fat PS3, it just doesn't have the PS2 hardware. Anyway, now we're getting into our first challenge area, which I am going to fail miserably at, because I always fail at this one, but thankfully, unlike Arcade GP1, these are not required to finish the cup.
Hooray!
You can still lose them and continue on, but basically I have to collect 75 coins along this course, and you have a time limit. It's not easy when the coins aren't in any specific order.
Sort of reminds me of the shooting credits section on Smash Bros. Melee. I can't get any of them!
This is where that's another thing about this game, too. This is where the mission system from Mario Kart DS originated. As far as I can tell, anyway. Trying to take things a bit slow here so I don't miss any coins. It doesn't give you much leeway as far as coins go. There are more than 75, but not many more. That and on an interlaced signal, it's kind of hard to see them.
You nearly got it.
Almost.
Suddenly no coins for 20 seconds.
Yeah, now we're back at the beginning of the race, and we're pretty much screwed.
Oh my god.
I think there were exactly that many. I was 2 coins short.
Wow, that is
Oh, jeez. Well, that's the closest I've ever came. Thankfully, again, it's not required to complete the cup. And I'm not going to do it again because I don't really need to.
It was conspiring against you. It saw you were doing well.
But anyway, that's it for Let's Play Mario Kart Arcade GP 2 Episode 1. In the next part, we'll be moving on to the Wario Cup, I believe. So, we'll see you then.
Take care.